Okay.
That was in the recording that early part that I missed. So
Oh,
That's awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, since we were talking about offers, we're going to take this time in this mastermind to go over, just break down yours and then yours, Mark. This is obviously, I mean, you did a great job, first draft, so you even have some pictures on there. That's crazy. So why don't you just walk us through it, and then say next slide, and I'll just click through for you.
okay, so welcome to Imagine Your World Without Concussion. Next slide. And well, I guess I actually have a question about this. You know, like, should I do the pattern interrupt like right away? Like, have everybody stand up and do a little thing that proves the power of the mind? That's what I have planned. So,
Okay, let me talk about that for a second, because that's actually not as much of a pattern interrupt as a breaking down of barriers in a presentation. And so you've got to be careful when you break down barriers, because if you try to do it too quickly, you can isolate your audience. But if I've done it too quickly, but I also have a very kind of like, come on, do this thing that I want you to do personality, so you can get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not standing yet? I told you to stand, right? So it may be something you want to work them into a little bit.
Okay.
Just because of, you know.
Okay.
So I would just, instead of setting the tone, it would be more like, I'm still good with setting the tone, but it's at this point we're connecting them to the vision, right?
Okay. So then I can wait until later on to do that. So I would go to the next, I would start with that next slide then and say, do any of you out there ask, why me? You know?
Yeah.
And then I go to the next slide and explain that because the topic is about concussions, that the shocking news is that yes, you can. There is 100% way of making a full recovery from concussions.
Yeah. Okay. So in setting the tone or getting them to that place, it might be like, have you ever wished that you could not be sitting in a dark room, wasting your time trying to let just your precious life pass you by while you're waiting for your concussion to heal?
Okay. Okay.
Yes, they are 100% curable.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So then the next slide would be to list out the benefits for today.
So some people get concussions and some people don't?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's mysterious, right? I mean, some people have horrendous accidents, and you would think that they would get a concussion, and they don't. I mean, it's happened to myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the other thing is what makes the brain weak and susceptible to, and therefore susceptible to injury. And what makes the brain strong? Well, healing, which also keeps it strong forever.
Oh, wow.
Research. So then I'm building up my credibility. I've been in the same room with John Herdman, who was a winning coach for women's soccer in Canada, and now he's the men's soccer coach. So we're all hoping for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. I had the privilege of sharing my message at the Harvard Club of Boston. Next slide. And also sharing the stage with Caitlyn Jenner. Yes, that Caitlyn was so awesome to talk to her about concussions and what it was like to be a gold medal Olympian. And next slide. I'm also an award-winning speaker because I won the Healing Visionary Award in 2018. It was awesome. And next slide. I also had the privilege of sharing my message at Harvard School of Medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what you mean by building?
I loved it. I think it's fascinating. I was into it, even though you were just kind of glossing over. So yeah, I do love it.
Okay.
So and you talk about it. So when you're doing the webinar, this is fun, right? You're like, So my name is Dr. Joni, and I work with people with concussions, and I've been studying for blah, 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 and I've had the privilege of working with people like this and being on the stage with Caitlin Jenner. That was amazing. And expand on this stuff because we are interested in this because we're getting to know you and trust you. And it's like, wow, those were very cool and very fascinating. So very nice.
Okay, great. Oh, it's been such a wonderful summer, I tell you. Okay, so I guess the next step was to actually get into those points.
Yeah, right. So you
So what?
discuss them. So why do people do it and why don't they?
Yeah. So
Oops,
so
sorry.
then, yeah. So well, that really just sets me up to the next slide then,
Okay.
I guess. So what Chinese medicine teaches us. So
Wait,
Chinese
I'm
medicine.
missing something. Why do some people get to walk me through the transition here?
Oh, okay. So why do some people get concussions and others don't? And there are several reasons for why this happens. And so then I'd go to the next slide, then I would go into these clues. So what Chinese medicine teaches us that each one of us is born with strengths and weaknesses. However, we don't know what those strengths and weaknesses are until we are faced with a crisis, and it's how we either respond or react to the crises that will determine whether our weaknesses or strengths come out.
Okay.
And maybe at this point I can give an example.
Yeah.
And the latest Western research actually tells us that there are definitely patterns in people who have concussions because many times people have found that people are actually going through a crisis and they're pretty stressed out. So there is proof of that. So it's never an accident. And a brain injury is always an evidence of this particular item, which happens to be confusion.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if there's confusion in a person's life, then maybe if that part of your, um, maybe if you've got a concussion, then that's the reason why you have a concussion today, because there's confusion in your life.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So next, yeah, I just threw that in because I have to expand on this stuff.
Yeah. You're telling stories. You've got to write out some of the things, but I like that you're putting the framework together. I'm good with this. This is the chunk that is training, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, so the next slide is what heals the brain and keeps it strong then. So, well, actually, that stress thing was supposed to answer the question, the second question about what makes the brain weak. So, so that was the second point.
Oh. Oh, I see.
Okay, so that's I was going through it before before we got on the air here, and I realized, oh, I didn't put that one in. But
Yeah, but that's okay because I've done that while I was in the middle of a webinar realizing those things. So glad we do this with you.
yeah, exactly. So, okay. So the third point would be what heals the brain and keeps it strong. And there's a whole bunch of mental aspects in a person, their attitude, their whether they're actually thinking or
Mm,
not. And I define what thinking truly is.
right.
Because most people spend 70 to 80% of their time worrying. So they're using their imagination in the wrong way, and worrying doesn't make things better, it only makes things worse. And we have to go back to the point that stress is really hard on the brain, and it actually shrinks the brain, and it makes you stupid. And therefore, you definitely aren't thinking straight at
Right.
all. So, so I talk about attitude. I talk about what thinking really is. I talk about a few other things.
Okay.
So I was just trying to looking really briefly at at the way you have it set up in here about, what is the problem that people have? Why is it important for them not to have this problem? Why is it important to you?
Mm-hmm.
And, or maybe it's from challenge number 1. Okay. So are each one of those 3 things that I had at the beginning a challenge?
No, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, it just needs to be more. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to it. So today we're going to talk about why some people get concussions and others don't. What makes a brain weak and susceptible to injury? What makes a brain strong? Actually, I like it. I'm still fine with it. But what's missing here is, I think, why do some people? Okay, that's good. You have to readdress it, right? And so.
Yeah.
So you're just missing a slide in there. That's a big number.
Yeah,
To
I'm just
do
missing
that.
a slide.
And so you're talking about this almost like 3 separate points, so they've got to be clear. So why are some people susceptible to get concussions and why they don't? Here's some reasons, but if you are one of the susceptible people, you need to know some kind of high level thing that you can do, right? But it's always seeding it to make sure that they need to have some kind of proper assessment.
Oh, okay.
It's hard for people to know if they're susceptible or not without a proper assessment. When I work with people, this is one of the things we definitely do first.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it strong? Here's a few tips for you, but what really makes it strong is preventative. This is why you need to know what you're like right now first, kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you're just seeding. But anyway, you can work on the training a little bit.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Because I'm fine with this. This is just, this stuff takes sharpening because it's the body of your work and you're just going through it fast, which is no big deal. But let's keep going because you're going to go through and do it again, another edition of this rendition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, so this slide is pretty much part 1 of that answer.
Okay.
And then I would tell them about those different states of mind that they need to be in. So that's why I say a bunch of slides.
No, I like it. I do that too. Bunch of slides. True story. Ooh.
Okay, so true story. So this one would be the story about that emotional story about, well.
When you learned about injury and then you started working in that way?
Well, no, about the botched vasectomy and the pregnancy and then the botched abortion and abortion.
Yeah.
And that's how I would turn it back to why me.
Yeah.
Because I realize that I often say that, I take the mysteries out of life. Suddenly you finally understand why things are happening to you.
Yeah.
And so instead of saying why me, now it's okay, what can I do about it? Now I know what I can do about it.
Yeah.
And so that's why there was such a disconnect between why I do things now and with the story. I was so confused about this, but it's becoming clearer and clearer, and I think this process is really helping me with that. Okay. Now, do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I when you said it the first time I heard you say it, I felt like, because I've seen you do it a few times, I felt like it had no segue into concussion at all. Then you had a beautiful segue in there. Then I was thinking to myself, that's her emotional segue story. But we weren't working together to go up and start to coach people like that isn't something that I would do. But I knew when I saw you do that that's a good one. Because what you're doing at first is there's lightness. Like, hey, I'm this light person, but you can trust me, but here's a little bit of a story. And you work it deeper and deeper until there's more of an emotional state, right?
Yeah. Because when I tell that story, I get really emotional about it.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. I mean, you see, the other stories, I mean, my son's recovery story isn't emotional to me because I felt totally confident that he would come out of it. So it's not.
You know what? I like that piece kind of at the beginning because it's almost like you're starting in a, hey, I've been working with people. I had this great thing with my son. You tell a little bit, but this isn't how it always started,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. All right, so.
Real problem.
Yeah, so what's the real problem? The real problem is that people are abandoned by their doctors. Let's see. Yeah. people feel abandoned by their doctors because after a few days, yeah, and there's no comprehensive solutions from conventional medicine. And there was a survey done in the summer of 2015 with hundreds of American neurologists that actually admitted that. And it hasn't changed because I still have clients telling me,
Yeah.
well, yeah, he told me to rest. And then he told me to rest some more.
Yeah.
And then they said, you know, come back in 6 months.
I would put this piece at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
This stuff because right when you get into the true story, this is why I got into what I'm doing, and this is why I'm so passionate about not letting people have to suffer and try to heal themselves, you know, on their own.
Yeah.
This stuff starts to work into this, you know, I found this missing piece, that there is this no support, blah, blah, blah. This is the real challenge. This is why I work with people. Here's me doing cool stuff. Here's some training. Here's a good story. And then it's like, now we're getting into the offer. So this piece, this real problem, moves up. We want to address the real problem fairly quickly in our presentations so that people are on board with you, right? You're not going, oh, that's the real problem. Oh, I need an offer, you know. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
Oops. Wow, what happened here? Okay, cool. All right, so then we go into brain evolution.
Brain evolution. I actually, this slide probably doesn't belong there anymore because I was going through the video and I realized, oh yeah, I could be doing my offering my diagnostic process.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking I'd call my online program Brain Evolution or Brain by Design, or you know, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, and I was going to bring it back to the why me,
Mm-hmm.
to connect with the beginning of the thing, and so why me, or actually it also connects in with the offer on the diagnostic, because then they would find out why me. Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. You'll have to move those a little bit. There's a little confusion there. So this, okay, no problem. You're just missing two really important slides.
Okay. What are they?
It's a paragraph. It's the most important slide. What is this? Who's it for?
Okay. What is it? Who's okay?
This is why I've created Brain Evolution, which is an online diagnostic to let you know, is your brain susceptible to injury? What kind of custom action plan is going to be best for you? You know, what you can do right now to start feeling better, kind of thing. Like
Okay.
Promise.
Because this would actually be a meeting with me. So.
Yeah. There needs some work on this offer because it's feeling a little squishy to me, for sure. Mm-hmm. So it's really about the promise. Listing this stuff out is, you know, we're missing the offer in this.
Okay. All right. So the offer's missing still.
The offer's completely missing, pretty much.
Okay. So what should the offer be then?
Okay, so if we go back to offers, because this is what we're talking about, an offer consists of a big promise first, right? So that what it is, specifically, it is a blank online course, coaching call, whatever. It is for these people. It gives these people this transformation.
Okay.
Do this through, you know, then we go into the deliverables. But basically it goes, here's the promise paragraph. So after you have this, here's some bullet points. What you're going to feel like is in control of your life and able to heal your concussions this much faster. You're going to have tools to prevent yourself and loved ones from getting concussions in the future. You're good, so you bullet point the benefits, promise paragraph. So offers are just like this. Big promise paragraph, some kind of benefits in a bullet point to just kind of reiterate them. Then it's the deliverables. This is done through Zoom. We give you the recording call, blah, 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 blah. And so when you sign up, or here's the price. When you sign up, here's what you can expect. So they pretty much all follow that. That's the offer is, just so you guys know this, when I'm putting out the marketing material for a webinar, that's an offer. Pretty much. So I need to follow the same format. This is a webinar for people who are interested in healing concussions. in this 1 hour call, you're going to blah, blah, blah. Because you're selling them the offer of signing up. So it's always, this is why it's so nuanced. It's always the same. The offer to get them to do this thing, the offer to get them to do this thing, this thing, right? It's all part of the whole process.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At this point of the presentation,
Yeah, we're missing the promise. I want a promise thing, like,
okay.
You know, this is why I've created this course or this assessment.
Yeah, it's really different from other people, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually not different. I'm just actually telling you guys how they do it on stage for reals. This is how the industry works, right? If you break them down and you start watching people's offers, you're going to see this pattern. So,
or maybe it's just the terminology is a little bit different. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, the promise. Okay.
Yeah, promise, paragraph, something you can say, this is why, this is, this is a program for people who don't want to feel this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They do need to kind of flush out this, but it's okay. I mean, you did this in a day.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm good with this. You know what? I'm really good with this. This is that first one. This is great. The only thing here is make your appointment with me, and I would never do this. A phone number and an email address is a no-go.
Okay.
So they need something that they're going to click right away. So if it's a webinar, it's like, here's the form. You get them to fill out something and give you their phone number. If you leave them to this, they won't call you or email you.
Okay. Yeah, I just threw that in, so I'm glad.
No, it's a good teaching moment. It just won't do it.
Okay.
So not bad. I mean, I think you followed the format fairly well, but there's going to be some tweaks here, right?
Yeah.
You have a good first draft, but this is so funny. I see this all the time. There's lots with the training and stuff, and then it's just like the offer is glossed over. It's like I start with those slides. I want that promise paragraph. I want something, and then we build. Usually I make the slides after I make the marketing package, but I don't think that that's how people should do it, because I've worked this material for so long. So now I do it like that. I prefer us to get our promotional presentations nice and tight.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. It'll be a lot better the next time.
It's okay. It's a good job. I want to get the opinions of anybody here, like things that you saw. I know that this is not designed or anything, but it is what it is. Did the content seem relevant? And I know this is subjective, right? Did the color choice seem good? Like, what was your opinion on this? Knowing that she's put this together in 24 hours. So it's a good job, in my opinion. But Mark, you want to go?
I like with Dr. Joni. I like her energy and where she's taking people. As you mentioned, some of the slides need to maybe shift a little bit to have a pattern, a flow to it. But for Joni and what she does, I like the red and gold.
Okay.
It's Chinese medicine. That's your right, and that is congruent to me. So to me, it is who she is.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think so too, because I wasn't sure. It's a lot, so I might break up some of the slides with obviously some images. It's not designed yet, but I did want to get the opinion because I was on the fence with it all. But yeah, cool. What do you guys think, Jenna, Cyrene?
Well, I mean, I was at my son's band concert, so I missed the beginning, Dr. Joni, of kind of setting the stage. But I mean, I right from you in Calgary, I mean, you're very endearing. And even though we're going through a draft, you're still very endearing. I think you're an expert in what you do. I didn't make the Chinese medicine connection, I guess, with the red and gold until Mark, you mentioned that.
Oh.
And from maybe some more clarity to the, using reds and golds through photos maybe a different way instead of having the whole background, knowing Chinese medicine connection, then I guess I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? It's I kind of glossed over this too, and I know you're going to say it in translation and everything, but maybe there should just be a little slide at the beginning because you say clues. There is clues that Chinese medicine teaches us, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that in your credibility that you're teaching Chinese medicine, correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think you probably will flesh it out. We didn't see it because we're going through it really nice and quick, but it is a really good observation from Jana, because if we didn't say that, like, we do want to say why we have certain choices. So I do like that, although I do believe you probably will say it in your story of credibility.
Well, I just happen to, red is my favorite color anyway. So.
Yeah, I like it too. And then maybe you can do a slide that would say just a side interesting slide, just like what's Chinese medicine? And then it gives us clues, a lot of clues about concussion. So I might add something like that, and I think that would be very nice for our brains to wrap around.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Cool. Thank you. Cyrene, what do you have? Anything to add? She's an alien.
I have to echo Jana's ideas that I thought the red was a little overpowering for all of them. And maybe if we had a few without it, it might be better because you're not only doing Chinese medicine, you're also using other techniques and modalities. Is that right, Dr. Joni?
No.
Is it
No.
purely,
It's all based on classical Chinese medicine, which is really psychological. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, some of these pictures are the right size. I mean,
because this looks cool. What I liked about this is we still have a picture, but we have the consistency of the red in the background. So as long as we're adding something to each one, sometimes it's nice to have just the border and have the middle part white, like you had. It could think about it like that for consistency. I guess one of the things I saw from the beginning to echo this is they all kind of look like the first slide, like the front slide. Because does that make sense? Like it's the because in a slide presentation there's sometimes white space or whatever. So I like it. And it's not designed, so I don't want to give too much weight to that, but it was just a good observation from a feeling point of view from everybody here.
Okay.
So I wouldn't stress about that part too much yet, but I would put that into your back pocket and think about it.
Okay. Yeah, it hasn't, nobody's ever critiqued it, so.
No, I think it's fine. The next thing to do as well, though, is to put the images into it because it adds another layer of our emotions to this whole thing. So I'm looking to see if you understand the pattern of putting together a promotional webinar or speech. And it's funny because I knew that by the time we got to where I wanted to see that it would be missing a bunch of things. The offer slides are just like 2 slides. My offer slides are like 15 slides. There's 15 slides when I go and do the offer, and I tell stories throughout it, right? It's as much of the presentation as the training. So you need to go in there and flesh out things like, let me just go here for everybody's sake. Yeah, I don't have any benefits of this call. I don't see any of it, so we can't really break it down yet, which is okay. It's okay. It's fine. You need to put it on. It's just completely missing.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all right. All right. This is a great first less than 24-hour draft. So I'm happy that you have this. This is good.
She's amazing. She's really
amazing.
Fantastic.
And then we've got this guy here who's got one too. So we'll break down his. Do you have any questions about like moving the slides around? Because I'm liking the direction.
Well, I'm going to be listening to recording to this, unless you want to, itemize it out. But
well, it's hard to do that. Like, just move those slides around first. And I know that you are going through this fairly quickly for the group, which I'm fine with. But I wanted to know, the thing that Jana said, and I got it too, and I think we all did this. You're endearing. You're a subject matter expert, no question. There's nothing that you're going to do with that training. We need a little bit of sharpening on flow. But even if you did move that around and it wasn't exactly perfect, you will sound fine because you know what you're talking about. What's missing here is simply the offer, and you just need to put that together and we'll redo the whole thing. Like, not the whole thing, we'll redo the critique. That's all I meant. We'll redo the whole thing. It's not what I meant.
Okay.
But I feel great that you have this much work done.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Very inspiring. That's what you are.
Yeah, she is. She's good.
She is. Look at her.
Love it. Okay, Mr. Johnson, let's go find your presentation in Facebook.
I uploaded the presentation, but I did record it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Took me
wow.
How long is this thing?
Second round, 13 minutes.
Okay, let's go through it and we'll pause when I need to. How about that?
Doesn't matter. I can do it either way. So.
I think you got this recorded. Let's just take the 13 minutes because we have it and we'll just pause. I think this is a really valuable exercise for everybody because I'm really looking to install the pattern. That's all I'm really doing here. Time
So I
rescue.
did it through.
So time rescue is the name of your presentation?
Yes. Hey, this is all invented today from about noon on. So.
I totally hear you, and I'm so pleased with you guys that you're even recording this. It's amazing. One of the things just off the hop, just a thing is, it doesn't really tell us the problem or promise in here. So
Okay.
It's more like a solution title, but it's just the first thing I see, right? Like, I would have no clue that you're a business coach at this point.
Thanks for joining me tonight. We're talking about time rescue. Time rescue, how to get some of your time back in your life. Now, most of you, I'm sure, a little bit like me, and you've had those.
I might even just put the tagline, how to get more time back in your business and life.
Okay.
You know, something like that, just so we know what's going on.
Days and those times where you feel stressed out and overwhelmed at work, maybe at home too. Feel like you're not getting enough done. You've got too much to do. There's not enough hours in the day, and maybe that everything is on you to get it done. This leads to stress, overwhelmed or lost, huge health problems. You're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you're not exercising enough. All of that adds up. And then there's a whole lack of connection with your coworkers, with your family, with your friends. Because when you're stressed out and overwhelmed and overworked, and yeah, it's tough. So my story, I know this because of what happened to me.
So here's what I would say, just for you guys, because it's a good pain. It's good painting of the pain. We can milk things more than we think. And I know for the exercise of time, so this isn't that you didn't do it, it's just I'm going to do it for a training moment. We can say, this is what we have no time in our day. And I also play with things in an emotional way to make people feel certain things. So it's like, you're there, you've got to get to work and you've got to get your car, and the tone goes faster and faster, and you're like, ugh. And this leads to stress and overwhelm and this and this and this and no connection. And then I would take that last one and I'd pull it apart. How many times have you been sitting there wishing that you could just spend more time with your family, really expand on it, just because this is this is like painting the pain. So I like what you've got there. I'm just giving this as an overall training moment. And I know that these are things that you did very quickly, which I'm very happy about, and even recorded. So
10 years ago, I was working too hard, working too much. I was part of a team in a really successful company in oil and gas. I was running my own business and farming on the side. All of that. And lots of stress, not enough sleep, lots of travel, literally all over the world, with projects and everything.
See, I would say things like, because when I was doing a lot of travel, I said something like this. This is a line I literally used. So I was saying, so when I was building these speaker clubs, I was in 9 countries and 2 cities every single month for 4 months. This one time I went to a print shop in Vancouver, and I walked into the shop and I saw these jerseys on the wall, and I was like, you guys like hockey here? And they're looking at me like, duh. And I went, I'm still in Canada, you know? So I'm telling little stories, like snippets of stories, because it fits what I'm trying to say here. So you've got to inject these things because it makes us really feel them. This is a classic thing because I've given you a template and I've asked you to follow a certain structure, which is great because you're doing it. Stage one, we tend to list everything like that. So we list it, and then the next layer, because you're getting the pattern so well, Mark, is really pull out the stories and tell them, because that's the fun part for the listener, for you, for the whole entire process.
And wasn't eating well, wasn't getting enough exercise, not enough sleep, stressed, all of that. And that led me to some pretty serious health problems. I ended up having a heart attack and spent a bunch of time laying in the hospital. But I don't suggest you do that.
Yeah, that's a story you're going to have to talk about a little bit more.
I feel so passionate about this subject and helping people get more time back in their lives, reduce their stress, and get more done. So you're in luck. I'm going to help you find out what's getting in your way and how to fix it. So the 3 reasons that people feel this way is what I'm going to talk about here for the next few minutes. So 1 is that people feel stressed out, worried, overworked, and overwhelmed. You know, they spend their mornings, noon, evening listening to the news. There's a never-ending stream of problems in the world. You know, government's changing this, or you know, there was this murder and that car crash, and you know, climate change and everything else, and it's all getting dumped on you on top of everything else that you've got going on in your life.
Just going to reiterate, because I see this mistake a little bit too, where people talk in the cadence when they're listing. If you want to go, and on top of what's happening in the world, there's economic devastation, there's global warming, there's murders, there's like, list it quickly, because when you list it quickly, it becomes one thing instead of a drawn-on thing. And I know you're doing it for the first time, but that's it just gives it more like it's because of stress and overwhelm, right?
So don't let that, you know, it's just overwhelming. And one of the things I did, I turned the news off. I don't listen to the news. I get bits and bytes where I need it, but I really don't listen to the news anymore. So that's one thing I did. But in most of our lives, we can't see the forest for the trees. When you think about it, if you're out in the forest, all you can see is trees around you, but you can't see the whole forest. And it's kind of like that is in your life. You're in the middle of it, and it's really hard to see what's going on. That's why, with myself, I've hired coaches to help me see beyond where I'm at so that I can keep moving forward. Right? Big fan of being a coach and having coaches help me move.
Okay. So the first time we heard about this, about coaching, it's too abrupt. So you needed to say, so don't let this happen to me. It landed me in the heart attack, which is why I wanted to help people, which is why I became a coach. This is why I love the coaching. Then you can say it here. This is why I love the coaching industry. This is why I have worked with my own coaches. This is why I'm a big proponent of doing this thing, because we need to have that objectivity so that we can see the forest for the trees, right? So make sure that you've woven it in, because it felt abrupt here to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've all probably heard, you know, it's tough to see the big picture when you're stuck in the middle of it. And that's how I think about this thinking outside of the box. Because you can't think outside of the box typically because you're in the box and you built the box, so you don't even really know that there is a box. That's where a coach comes in. A coach can actually see what's going on in your world and help you move beyond where you are, maybe even lift you right up out of that box. So the first thing I want you to do to help with this overwhelmed and overworked and just too much to do is start by setting a goal for next week. Pick one thing, just one. And if you got it done next week, you feel like you've really accomplished something. I have a whole program on working with people just like you to help them not only set goals, but actually achieve them in a lot less time than most people think is possible. It's a 3-month program.
So one of the things you can do is set goals, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
The reason people struggle so much with setting goals is because we don't know how to set goals correctly, right? So think about I talk about this too. Think about maybe your goals in these 3 terms. Maybe you want to have a goal for one of these life areas. That's one of those things. The challenge is you don't know how to do them, so here's a little template. The next challenge is you don't have that objectivity of somebody else. So when I'm working with people, and I wouldn't ever say when I work with people just like you, and the only reason is, I know this for a fact, is when people say, I work with people just like you, or you are my ideal client, it actually ruins conversions. There's a block because we're like, no, don't try to sell me something. So it's like when I work with people who are stressed out, who are having trouble achieving their goals, what I do is I help them set these goals appropriately. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But I'm liking the seating.
$997 to take that 3-month program. And I know some of you are, wow, that's a lot of money, Mark. Well, it is. But are your goals important to you? That's what we do in that program, is teach you not only how to set the goals, but how to achieve those goals, get things done. But right now, I'd like you to get a pen and paper and write down that one goal. But if you got it done next week, you feel awesome. You feel like getting out and doing the happy dance. So what would it be? Right now, pick up your pen and write down exactly what that one thing is. What would it be? It'll make you feel awesome if it was done next week.
Okay, so when you're making this for real, the slide, make sure you put like this works really well for all of you guys to know. I would write one goal, and I would have lines on the slide, which feels like a template. It feels nice and tangible when you craft it like that.
Go.
Okay.
Great. Now you've written something down. The next thing is we always feel that we have too much to do. And what's getting in the way of you getting more done? We all have the same number of hours in a day. We all go to work for supposed to go to work for the same amount of time. And if you're anything like me, I've been that person that worked 12, 14 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. And that's no life. Everything else in your life suffers when you're doing that. So too much to do. Well, why do you have too much to do? Now, Earl Nightingale was one of my mentors. Earl started really the whole personal development world years ago by creating a record called The Strangest Secret. The Strangest Secret was based on the famous book Think and Grow Rich. Now, Think and Grow Rich was written by Napoleon Hill. Earl studied that book for 20 years, condensed it onto that record. But that was the first recorded word record. One of gold, it became a gold album for the number of records sold. But what he did was he had an open door policy. You could come to Earl and talk to Earl about any question you had. But you had your question written down before you got to Earl, and you had to be concise. You didn't go in and talk to Earl about the football game on the weekend and what your kids were doing and everything else.
I can hear this.
You came in, you asked your question, he gave you his answer, and you went on about your day, and he went on about his day. And out of that, Earl came up with the idea that the word no, that a lot of us don't like to use, we don't like to hear. But no is a complete sentence. If somebody comes in, you already got enough to do, 3 days full.
In your seating, right? Because this feels like we're doing the offer, and I wouldn't put this in your slides. I know you wrote it to keep yourself on track, but you would say things like, in my programs, what we do is we deep dive into your brain and look at what's holding you back. So it's more like conversational things that you're seating in. When it's on the slide like this, not that you were going to leave it there, but when it is on the slide like this, it does pull us back like, oh, this is about his program. These are the seeding comes in from the conversation. So getting more done. You can have that. You can have an image of people getting more done. You can talk about it. And I like it on the slide for this exercise. But just in case anybody thought that that's what we're going to keep on here, we're not.
No, that was just...
Yeah, to keep you on track. I get it.
Go one more place. You have to learn to say no. No is a complete sentence. And we were building our company in oil and gas. We were really busy. And often we would get calls from clients or potential clients that they'd call up and say, oh, well, we're doing this project and we need one of your crews. And oh, by the way, we need them here tomorrow. sorry, we forgot to call you. Somebody was supposed to, we forgot, but hey, kid, can we get your food tomorrow? And that led me creating a saying that piss poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. So just because somebody else planned poorly doesn't make it your emergency. So learn to say no to some of these people's emergencies and prioritize. Think about, you've got your day and your things that you have to do. So stick with that. I have a whole program where we do a deep dive into some of the things that are holding you back, some of the things that won't let you say no to people, some of the things that cause you to want to please everyone and make everyone around you happy. And in the deep dive program, we learn how you can train your mind to stop getting in your way and actually start helping you get more done in a year than most people accomplish in 10. Now, most people use their mind and how to visualize things to hold them back. So think about this.
So one thing too, you guys, when you're saying why you have something of this program, blah, blah, always, almost every conversation we're having goes, when you say, this is what you need or this is what I have, you need to also tell why it's important and why it's a challenge for people. Does that make sense? Because I'm not hearing it. I'm hearing too much like, I have this program, I want to hear why it's a bit of a challenge. Why is it a challenge for, no is a complete sentence. Why is it so hard for us to say no? We know this. And it's, there's many reasons why. And it sometimes takes a community and it needs practice, needing patterns of success or whatever it is that you're going to say. So just kind of partially like that too.
You've got a project you have to do, a place you have to go. How many of you think about the worst things that can happen? Oh, but what if they say no to me? But what if this doesn't happen? Or what if that doesn't happen? And we're using our mind and our power, our ability to visualize things to get in our way, to hold us back, to stop us from doing what we're really good for. Now, the program, it turns that thinking into results in your life. It gives you more time, more money, more happiness in your life. Now, that program is $74.97. And it does. It's a 6-month program, changes so much in life. It's absolutely an amazing program. But that's beyond what we're talking about here right now. So the third thing that holds most people back is not planning ahead. That's what causes a lot of this overwhelm and this stress and that, part of the stress is not knowing what I'm going to do, how I'm going to solve something. But a lot of it boils down to not planning ahead. So my solution is my daily success plan. So my daily success plan is a plan for your day. And we use it by setting it up the night before. So you're planning your day the night before. By doing that, you know what you're going to do tomorrow. So you wake up in the morning, hey, it's awesome, I've got a plan. You also aren't stressed at night wondering about what you're going to do tomorrow because you already made a plan for it. It also lets you use your subconscious mind and your visualization to think about how that day is going to happen. So you think about your day and go, yeah, I've got calls with Mary and Bob tomorrow, and those calls are going to go amazing. Or I've got this project deadline to meet tomorrow, but our project's already at this point, so we can finish it up tomorrow as a team. It's going to be awesome. It's going to get done. It's going to be great for everybody. Or I already know that certain things are happening tomorrow, and I've got a plan for it. So how this helps is it takes a lot of the stress out of your life because you're planning your day the night before. Science has proven that helps your stress levels go down. And when you're visualizing how your day is going to happen, your expectancy of a good day goes up, it increases. That's how this helps. Now, what does this entail? The program is going to be a 4-week of group coaching. During that, you're also going to get 2 one-on-one calls with me to help you put this plan in place, make it a habit so that you use it each and every day. You also get a downloadable form and an ebook with even more tips. And not just how to manage your time, but how to manage your tasks. Because time can't be managed. Think about it. Everybody gets the same amount of hours in a day, same number of minutes. So it's not the time that needs to be managed, it's really the tasks that need to be managed. And you manage those tasks by having a plan. Right? Nobody writes the old saying, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, book wasn't written in a day. The project wasn't completed in a day, depending on the project. But this is, so what's in this for you? 4 weeks of group coaching, 2 calls with me, downloadable form that you can use for the rest of your life. And you got with even more tips, it's $297. An amazing deal. So if you go to www.successinnovations.com and then sign up on the form there, you're going to start November 1st. So I suggest you go there tonight because I've only got a limited number of spots for this. We're only taking 10 people in the program. So go there tonight, get signed up, and we're going to start November 1st and move this forward for you. Thank you all for coming on the call tonight, and I'm really looking forward to working with you.
Cool. Awesome. So I'm really glad that you recorded that. I think it's good. I think there's lots of stuff to work with here. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, obviously you shortened this for this exercise, right?
Yes.
I think that the training needs to be a little tighter and a bit more sharp from a delivery point of view, because there's a lot about the program in it. So I would I want to weave this seating. It seemed it was more of like the forefront of the whole thing, right? So that's one thing. When you were talking about the price of the $7,997, like the big coaching package, it was kind of thrown out there into the ether, and then it was left for us to sort of go, is that what he's saying to us? I don't quite get it. So you can firmly say things like, I have a program that I work with people, and it's $8,000, and it's a great program. It's really intense. It's not what we're talking about here today. I know you're going with that, right? I just wanted to let you know that that's one of the things that I work with people. If there's a reason around it, that's why we're saying it. But make sure you're very clear, because we may tune them out at that moment because it was a little too soft. Like, is he talking about that? Because I'm not sure, right?
Okay.
And it threw confusion in my mind. And I also found when you were talking about the offer, you said 4 weeks of coaching with me and this and this and this. 4 weeks of coaching with you is important, and it needs to be expanded on, and people need to know why it's important to have a coach. So take some time and throw some real passion in with that, right? And the other piece is, why only 10 people? You have to describe why. Even though it's obvious to me, because you have bandwidth. We have a limited amount of these things because it's a bandwidth thing. This isn't a scarcity tactic. I have only room for this many people. These calls will fill. That kind of thing, right?
Okay.
That makes sense. I also, when you're doing the next version of this, right, what I'd like to see you do, just because of the way that your personality is, I'd like for you to pick out some images to showcase what you're talking about, and get those, just maybe next level, put some stuff like, so that we can have a different visual on, just something to look at. I know that we weren't supposed to design it, but it is sort of like an important exercise so we can figure out what we're saying. It's actually an exercise in clarity, that layer. Does that make sense to you guys? Images are speaking to us just as much as words do. So when you're talking about that particular thing, go and grab some images and plunk them over there, or how you feel, right?
Yeah. I was putting this together today to get it done. If I do my normal, I'm going to go find my images.
Oh, yeah, no.
I wouldn't have done it.
Mark, I love that you did this.
I'm being honest. Because I know, as Joni does, because we study with Bob, we all think in pictures.
Yeah.
So the image means more than the word.
Yeah. But I like that you are following the path. What I'm seeing from you, I think you gloss over your expertise too much. I think you need to talk some more about you, some more about your passion and things in here, because I feel like you probably just want to help people, but you don't want to step out there and be in the front, and you want it to be about them. But we need to know that you're going to lead us, so we do need a bit more about you in the presentation as well. Anybody else? What do you want to say to Mark? I love that you recorded it, by the way.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead. Shanna?
am I stuck?
Yeah, you were stuck.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to agree with you, Jackie, that Mark, I wanted to hear more about your story. I want to get lost in the details of how, I don't want to hear all the gory details of the struggle of the 14-hour days, 6 days a week, but bring me into that world so I can live there with you and connect like, yeah, I've been there too. And I'm hanging on your word to find out, how did you get out of that? I want to learn how you got out of that because I want to get out of it.
Mm. Yeah, well said. I would also talk about, especially if you're selling coaching, you guys, why people don't want coaches. I thought I could do this by myself. You know, and all I did was just continue to work until I finally bit the bullet and said, okay, fine, I give up. I can't do this by myself. I'm so used to carrying everything on my shoulders. You know, you could talk about this. I carry things on my shoulders. I'm a husband. I'm a father. Are you a firstborn?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. I can tell one a mile away, right? carry a lot of stuff for other people, which is why you also don't want to step out there into, you want to hold everybody up. But right now, we just want to see you and what it was like when you were all alone and vulnerable. So anyway, yeah, I love it. Thank you, Jana. That was well said. Really well said.
Thank you, Jenna. Yeah.
Mark, yes, might you be able to put in some quotes from to support? That's always a good way of, taking the pressure off of you.
That's a beautiful suggestion. I actually really dig that a lot. You know, Bob Proctor always says, and then you could read it, you know, and you could piggyback off that emotional connection that we know works already. I sometimes tell people for an opener, if they want to sound like they're really intelligent and they're so nervous at the beginning, one of the techniques I tell people in that regard for openers would be to read something inspiring to them. I'm going to take a minute to read this to you. So they have words, they're doing something, it's performance-based. So I love that. That's a brilliant mastermind suggestion.
Thank you, Cyrene.
I'm going to be using a lot of it. That's why I recommend it.
It's good. I mean, it's why recreate the wheel. It's great. I put quote cards on my tables. I put quotes in little bags for people because I'm trying to instill an emotion, right?
You mean like sticky notes like this that you keep on your computer?
Yes.
People pay for outcomes, not the process.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Dr. Joni, do you have anything to add?
I think Mark did a great job. I wanted to sign up. You know, I think pretty much you covered everything because, yeah, images would have been nice. Definitely quotes to mix things up with all the words. I think the fewer words, the better. If we're actually speaking it holds their attention more on you than trying to read the screen. Yeah.
And your vibe is calm and smooth and relaxed. And I want that vibe to be maintained for you. But when we're making a sale, there is an emotional fire. Like people got to really feel why you do this, right? So when we get to the offer piece, this is where things get fired up. Emotional story. This is why you need to do this. I mean, your offer is $297, so it's not, we don't have to get to the depths of your soul on a $297 offer because we're overselling it then. But we do want to feel a little bit more of like there's a cadence even in a sale. You guys are getting all the tricks. Isn't this great? There's a cadence in it where we're talking, you definitely don't want to go too fast or too slow during the offer. There is a pace, a confident pace of, this is an important thing, this is why it's like this, da 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 da. Faster is a little bit better on the offer, and I hate to use this, but the term fast talker, it's not because we're wanting to be fast talkers, it's because we are confident, because it's rolling off our tongue. When we're thinking and slower, it feels like, nope, they're not confident on that. When it comes to the offer, the cadence is picked up a bit. That's just something I'm going to share with you guys. But I mean, God, the act of recording these things and putting that first draft together, it makes me very happy. Very happy because you have something to work from instead of what I did, which was put something like this together, put it out there and go, oops, epic fail. Learning on the go. Got to go back. And now that I've earned all my credibility, let's try that again. You know? So Cyrene and Jana, how's it going for you? I mean, this was one day. Like, I didn't expect anybody to have anything, to be fair. So there's no pressure on it, but do you understand the process? Is there any questions with what's going on here?
So
I understand the process. I have not even had time to check my email today, so I have a little bit of time carved out on Sunday. I have some training that I'm delivering this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question, I do have a technical question.
Sure.
Do you always provide a slide that shows the quote-unquote value of the pieces, the big number, and then what you're offering, or is that not necessary?
It really depends on the offer, right? So I'm not a fan, you know, of it. I've tried it without, but it actually, if I'm doing a larger priced offer, I do it because people do need to see the value of each piece so they can recognize that it is something that your time is valuable, that a deep dive call has a certain value. If you're doing something for, you know, for $297, I probably wouldn't do it. Like, I probably wouldn't for that price. I'd be like, this is the price of the call. This is what it is. That's a good deal. You know? So,
Okay.
yeah, depends on
So
the
when I'm pitching at the Heart of the Farm conference and it's a $497 membership experience, that's the show price, you know, $697 if they wait till January.
Yeah.
Would you advise me to do that value sheet or slide?
No,
Okay.
I might have a slide with the price and then go for the show. Then it is this price. And when I say for the show, it is this price. Whenever I do that, I have a real reason for real. Like, I don't just do it because it's a good technique to do. I would tell them why the reason is. I charge this much for it, but because I'm allowed to tell all of you at once, I don't have to spend money on marketing. So I'm going to lower the price and give you the value. Right? So yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, that's a great one.
Awesome. Yeah, that was my only question. I will be heads down with it this weekend.
I know. And that's why I was like, when you guys said, should we change this? No, I don't think we should. In fact, I like this extra mastermind because it did put a little bit of pressure to, there's no pressure, but I want to go through this again the next round because the pitches and the offers are the most important part, because I believe the tech, the tools, the writing doesn't matter because you guys will do it. It's just the act of saying the offer over and over again. We trip up on our tongues. It's a remarkable thing. I see it. It's remarkable. But cool. All right, Cyrene, how are you doing?
well, I haven't had time to do anything yet, but when I do, I'm going to post it on the Facebook page, and hopefully I'll get some response from somebody.
Yeah.
If it's good or bad, and then I'll start delivering it.
Yeah.
Because I do have opportunities to talk. I had one this morning for breakfast, and I did a good job.
Nice.
So yes, it wasn't prepared, but it was very good.
There's no question here that you guys couldn't go give a speech that people are going to love you. My job is to make sure that the speech makes you money. And there's a pattern to that one. So that's I'm fine with anything. If you're doing a speech, just if you have nothing that you can figure out what to do with them, or you don't get that offer, capture the leads. That's the biggest thing that I want you to be thinking about, is capture the leads. We'll figure out what to do with them later. We don't, the only opportunity we miss is when we don't do that.
Right.
But again, I'm just going to reiterate the presentation is a piece of the offer, right? So it's showcasing, it's getting them present with us. It's showcasing our credibility. It's getting them to like us. It's giving them value up front. It's getting them emotional, and then it's moving into a technical offer. The technical offer has, who is this for? What is this? Who is this for? What is the transformation these people will have after consuming this program or offer? What are some bullet points of benefits that they're going to get? Again, a video, a download, that's a deliverable. It's not a bullet point of the benefits. then we can go, how do you consume this? This is consumed through Zoom and blah, blah, blah. And you get all these cool things. We give the deliverables there. We then give them that call to action. So when you sign up, and then we satisfy their expectations, which is when you sign up, you'll immediately get this. So they know something's going to happen. And then you bring them back to state. Testimonials. If you're doing a smaller offer, you may have just a little case study. I had so-and-so, she took my $497 year-long thing, and she had this wonderful transformation. You know, a couple of those. So I am pleased. I am pleased because this is the way that this process goes. And I'll recommend it again. And I don't know if you guys have done this, but did you pick up the book, The Talent Code, by any stretch, or has anybody read The Talent Code?
No.
If you get a chance
I've read it.
You read it? Okay, that's a great one. If you've read it, the next one, and I haven't read this, but I heard it's a great follow-up, is Grit. And I forget the author. But I'll get it for you guys. But it's Grit. It's how this process kind of unfolds. We do want to put everything together and have it just perfect right out of the get-go, but this is beautiful. This is like rough draft. You got a rough draft. Oh my God, you have it right there? I want to read this book.
Oh.
Are you serious? What?
Wow.
Is it good? I just heard about it today. I told you I didn't read it.
I haven't. It's, you know what, it's next on my list. So I do a book club with my team. We do a quarterly book, and we're just reading one called Give and Take, The Secret to Leadership Success right now. And then Grit is the next one on our list. So I just got it a few weeks ago.
Because that's the next one on my list too, because I just heard it's a great follow-up to this. And I love books and I love recommending and sharing them. So this is what we're giving today. Why don't we maybe in this, because in the Have Need, these are books I think are great. Does anybody else have any great suggestions? I have one for you, Dr. Joni, or for everybody, but I love this one. It might be a nice thing for brain stuff, but it's a book called Mistakes Were Made, But Not By Me.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
It's a really good book. And it talks about cognitive dissonance, and I think it can really translate into, for every one of you, but mistakes were made, but not by me.
Well, there was one book that I picked up in the States on my travels this summer. It's called Unthinkable, and it's about very interesting stories about people with intriguing brain disorders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was very interesting. But right now I'm reading a revised and updated Eat Right for Your Blood Type. The 20th anniversary for this book.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I like that too.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Here's the one I'm reading right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have that in my library.
The Success Principles. As you can see, I'm studying it.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one that you're reading every day?
Yep.
Your partner?
Every day.
I love
30 minutes.
this. If you guys want to do something, if you get a chance, what I would really like to see is, I like people giving little book review things on video again, because I want you to utilize the Facebook group. Again, these are bonus things if you get a chance, but you will truly thank me if you go in there and tell a story or a snippet about something in a book that you're reading. Cyrene, what you got?
Nothing today.
Nothing today. That's okay. These are good
But
ones.
I will have something for you next time.
No. There's no problem being here. I just wanted to know if you had any extra things to add. That's fine if you don't. I'll post this video into the Facebook group, and then I'm actually going to just make a little list of the books that we had talked about underneath. Work on the offers. Bring them for the next mastermind. If you have any questions, you can bring those to the next training as well, because I'm happy to always sidetrack into offer. I think it's important. And then if you do get a chance to make a little video telling a story about a book, those are wonderful things to have in your back pocket for speeches, and they go into that little toolkit, and you'll be happy with me one day when you bring them up.
Really? Little videos about book reviews?
Yeah, like, so I might go, so I just want to let you guys all know about a book called The Talent Code. And the reason I love this talent code is because we're always looking for ways to improve ourselves. And the premise of this book is that talent is created, not born. And one of my favorite pieces in this book is about these Japanese violinists who are revered as the greatest Japanese violinists in the world. And when you hear them rehearsing, they sound crappy, like that kind of thing. And I tell these things on stage. You guys hear me talk about books on stage all the time, because for two reasons. Number one, it's a story I don't have to create. And number two, it's a value I can just pass on. It's information that was important to me and I can pass that on. These little stories, these little training snippets are the sizzly bits, the emotional spices that we mix into a structure that I've given you right now. So even though it seems weird, like really, we should do that? We're working on the structure, but those things when we want to layer onto them are amazing. And I know some speakers who do nothing but those sizzly bits and they have no meat. So there is a balance of the both, right? The presentation starts by putting the structure together, understanding this, adding on the stories, adding on the performance.
Oh, that's okay. That's great.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
So I just went to search your book, Jackie, and there's the talent code, the talent culture.
I forget. Daniel, is his name Daniel? I say it so
Yeah,
often.
Daniel Cole.
Yeah, that's
Cole.
Yeah, that's
He's
the
got
one.
the talent code, the culture code, and the little book of talent.
What? There's more?
Yep.
Great, I like this guy. Thank you for the mastermind tip. I love that. Good sharing. They're great. And I like it. It just adds a lot of, like, if you're trying to, for an example, Mark, your presentation, I know it was short for the sake of time, and I appreciate that because you were just talking through it. But now when you take these pieces, you can expand things because they're relevant. And it gives people more ways of looking at something, because what we tend to do is we tend to list a bunch of things instead of taking to make a point on a concept, as opposed to taking a concept and telling it in a certain way, telling it with a story, showcasing it with visuals, but really trying to figure out how to get that information into that person. Because I'll give you an example. I was learning a Sanskrit prayer and I was reading it and I was looking at it phonetically and I was trying to write it out and nothing was working for me. I couldn't learn this. And the only way I could get this information to stick was to have a recording of my teacher saying it, just play it in the background. And then I knew it, right? So we're trying to take information or a concept and inspire an audience to action. And so we say it in one particular way, and they may or may not understand that way because we don't know. So we have to paint it in a few different ways. And if they do understand it, it deepens it for them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. But I love it. I'm so happy. Any more questions?
Amazon told me I already own the talent code, so I just downloaded it to my new phone.
Nice. I love it. It's a good read. Really quick read too, so it's nice and easy to consume.
Good.
No, I'm going to Audible.
Cool.
Oh.
Guys, you guys are awesome. So we'll keep
Well, thanks for all the
plugging away.
feedback. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Now you
Thank
can
you,
delete that
guys.
video.
Guys. We'll see you on
Thank
the next-
you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on the next call.
Okay. Good night.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.